Ladies, this morning we're going to be putting together our March flowers, and I've got them all set out here for you. So our first flower is going to take 3 pieces. Our second one is going to take 2, and then we've got our 3 sets of leaves, and then the little yellow balls that we're going to be embellishing. So go ahead and get all the supplies that you need out. You're going to need your chalk. You're going to need cotton balls and Q-tips. You're going to need your zig writer. Your zig writer is the first thing that you're always going to use on all of these so that you don't ruin it. We're going to use white paint and a toothpick. We're going to use our yellow stickles and a little bit of adhesive. So let's start by just setting these aside. And I'm going to start with my first flower, which takes those 3 pieces. And we're going to simply glue these together. Because of the shape of these flowers, it does a lot of the work for us. So we're going to be doing very little to them actually. So just try to offset the spikes. You got a large, a medium, and a small. And we're just going to put them together just like that. After that, we're going to do our doodling. So the small part of the pen, and we're going to give these guys a circle in the center. So just a quick wavy circle, 2 rings, small dots first, and then we're gonna go and we're gonna line the edges. All I'm doing is quickly adding some black pen around the whole circle, and that's it. And then we're gonna go back with our large size dots and do a few out. Okay. And then from there, we're gonna use the chalk, and we're gonna be using black for this one, okay? So I'm just gonna grab my cotton ball, put it in there, and give it a very dark circle center. And then that's it. So on this one with these little fingers, I definitely like to take a second and fluff them up a bit. And then we're gonna set that one aside. So our second flower is gonna be the medium and this little bean shape right there. So first things we're gonna do is we're gonna fold it in half, okay? And I'm not gonna put any adhesive in here because I like how it kind of is a natural pop dot without me having to put anything there. And then I'm gonna take the little bean, put adhesive on it, and I'm gonna glue that to this end, just like that. I'm gonna use my zig writer, and I'm gonna trace around this, doing my dots, and then I'm gonna use the fat end, larger dots, and then bring a few randomly into the red spikes. All right, so we can set that one aside, and let's go ahead and do our leaves. So first thing to do with the leaves is glue them on. And they go pretty much right over top. Little off is okay. And then for the drawing on these ones, the doodling, it's super simple. We're just tracing the light green lime lines. And rather fast because it's pretty thin. All we're doing now is giving it a bit of definition and kind of continuing. We want all our flowers for the 12 months to look very similar. And then on one side, we're gonna do some dotting, heavier on one side than the other. I'm gonna go back with the big dots. Okay, and that's gonna be this one. Let's do our next set. I'm gonna grab both of these at the same time since there's 2 different shapes that we have left. Let's glue them together. Do our doodling. remember to move the shape around instead of having to move your hand all over. Makes it a lot easier and a smoother look. Oh, this little guy's stuck to me. That end. And then we're going to do the small one. And this isn't meant to look perfect, it's just giving it definition, because we're going to do a lot of chalking to these guys. Okay, so there is our 3 leaves. So let's go ahead and chalk them all at the same time. And we're going to start with the limiest green that you have. And we're going to do it real heavy where you did your heavy doodling. Just a couple swipes back and forth inside there. And then we're going to take the other end of our Q-tip, do one of your darker greens, and we're going to go along the outer edges of both sides of the leaves. All we're doing is giving it some dimension. Some variation in color is always nice. Okay, so after we've got that, we're going to take our black and we're going to do the very tips of these in black. Okay, and then let's grab that cotton ball and smooth and blend. Just by brushing. Perfect. All right, let's set those aside. We're gonna do the 2 little yellow ones, and then we'll go through and do our white paint and our yellow glitter. So these ones, like last month, we're gonna give them a stem by using our black zig writer. So wherever you see the stem, just trace over it. This little guy is super tiny. And then these have like a little point on the end. So I'm just going to take my zig writer and I'm going to dot each end, just like that. And now I'm going to take the small side of the zig writer and I'm going to give them their shape. These are so small. I'll put a couple dots here and there, but I'm not really worried about it. Just giving them a little bit of definition by using our pin. Okay, so let's set that aside and we'll do the big one. So I'm going to start with the fat end and just trace our stem. Give it a little, these are bigger, so we can come in here and give it like a little end to it. So it looks like it's attached to something. Okay, and then dot that little point. Perfect. And let's take that small end now. And we're just gonna trace the shape of that circle, giving dots to one side. Okay, that looks great. Okay, so now that I have the pen on these, I'm just going to grab a new sheet of paper just so you guys can kind of see, because that's gotten pretty messy. And then I'll do the chalk for this set. There we go. For the chalk on this one, we're going to use orange and red. I'm just going to put a little bit in there. And we're just doing a little dot on each one. And I'm really doing it kind of where I put my dots. my small dots. Didn't put any big dots on this one, just small ones. Okay, so that's the first thing, is just the orange. And then I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna put a small smidge of red, almost directly in the same spot. Super fast, super simple. Okay, so that is that, and then I'm gonna take a little bit of black and I'm gonna come up from where the stem is and just give it a little bit of shading there. I like to use black on most things I chalk. Okay, perfect. All right, let's set these aside. We are all done with our chalk, and I'm gonna grab the pieces that we just made. So here we go. Here are the pieces that we just made, and I really recommend that you assemble all of this, because if you don't, oh, you know what? We forgot to chalk this guy. And literally the only thing that we do is put a little bit of black here, and we put a little bit, I'm just gonna move it to my dirty sheet. We put a little bit of black right into the tops above that bean, and then just brush it off. Okay, good. So we've got that, and now I'm gonna work on the doodling, or I'm sorry, the white paint part of this. But when I've done this for you guys, they really do shift around. So I'm going to glue them down just so it doesn't make a huge, you know, they don't shift around on me and make a huge mess. So let's see, I'll just assemble a flower, because I've said this before. I like to assemble all the pieces prior to ever putting white paint on them or the glitter glue. I like my whole page to be assembled. So that's what I'm just kind of doing here, is assembling it like I would on my page. Tucking them in there. I love that, it's so pretty. Put a little adhesive on this one. And then just like that. All right, so from here, once it's on the page, you can make those little guys look fluffy, which I just love, and a little messy. Okay, and then we're gonna grab our white paint and our yellow glitter. So we're gonna start with the white paint, and we're gonna do some dotting with our toothpick. I always like to sometimes in the center do like a little line there. Oh, looks like I got a little, there we go. And then the little dots, little highlight line. Perfect. Now on these flowers, I actually did some white dots in the tip. So don't be afraid to get quite a large little thing on there. And then you'll randomly do some white on the tips. Maybe about 9 or 10 on each flower. Okay, I'm gonna do it on this one. Just like it's a little ball. Okay, that looks good. And then I'm gonna do a little bit of white on the little yellow pieces. Just some dotting right where the black dots are. I didn't put anything on the leaves. Trying to be consistent. And these ones are small, so I didn't do every single one. Almost though. Perfect. Okay, from there, I would let this dry. But for the sake of this video, we don't really have that kind of time. So what I'm gonna do is put the glitter glue on, super heavy. I'm doing it right over the white paint, and then I will let that set up. And then I did the same thing with the glitter. I did some dotting on the ends of the flowers. All right, ladies, that is it. That's everything that we're gonna need for our March flowers.